Hello everyone, welcome back to the allotment, episode 2, and what I'm going to do today is a bit of marking out, bit of designing where the beds are going to go, just to get me started. Maybe do some top slicing of some of that grass and weeds, make a bit of compost, and maybe get some things planted. Let's get started. What I've done here is marked out using string and pegs 3 beds, 3 short beds that will enable me to start planting straight away. Each bed is 1.20 m wide by 4 meters long. So I've got my beds, the front of my beds going all the way from that end, 1, 2, 3, to this end, and the string line carries on along this pathway to number 38A post, which is signalling that this is the plot of 38A. Then I'm going to turn the corner and go up there. That's later on. And we've got our pegs at the back line where I'm going to create another little pathway, and in the middle I've got these 2 massive piles of brambles and dead trees. So there's a big pile of wood there, and I'm going to cut a load of that down and make a little insect hotel, and then gradually chop up all the brambles into tiny pieces. At the back where we cleared all the brambles, we've discovered a massive kind of rockery effect. That's going to stay there. I'm going to dig it all out and tidy it all up anyway eventually, and we'll leave a gap of about I don't know, 30 inches, maybe a bit more, all the way along that fence to be respectful to the neighbours. I've dug out a little bit along the pathway, maybe get some wood chips down there, and I've started to dig out this middle bed. I'm actually not digging it out yet, I'm just top slicing the turf and the grass, and then I'm going to cover that in a pile, cover this and try and leave it covered for a few weeks, maybe turn it once a week. I know what you're thinking, don't cut the couch grass, but I've got to take the top slice off, and then when I dig, I'll dig all the couch grass out. I've got to dig something. I've got to dig all this anyway afterwards. Four days in, I've just top sliced the clumps of grass and weeds. I've marked out a pathway where we'll be sharing with the next door plot, and then that'll be my lot there. So I think overall making good progress. By the way, underneath that tarpaulin, all the top slicing of the clumps of grass shaken out, laid upside down. Now it's only been 2 days, but I can feel this is warm already. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn this over from the top to the bottom. Place everything there, like so. So that what was on the top is now on the bottom, and what is on the bottom is going to be at the top. Right, so thanks to my 2 helpers, we've moved that pile of top skimmed sods of clumps of weeds from there to here. Now we're going to cover it back over with tarpaulin, leave it for another 2 days. We're on day 6 of the allotment. I did 4 days last week, was a bit busy over the weekend, and today I've used a mattock to dig up this very hard soil, just to break it up. Okay, so we're on day 7. I've mixed up a batch of nematodes in water to water these 2 beds I've made, and hopefully that will keep the slugs at bay for 6 weeks. Now I'm putting on some fertiliser, sprinkling some pellets. So I've sprinkled the fertiliser pellets, the little light grey ones there, and now I'm going to hoe them in. Lucky enough to get some rabbit manure that was dropped off into the allotments, so I'm going to put a bit of that under some rhubarb that I'm planting today. Someone's very kindly given me a rhubarb plant from their plot, which I can chuck in, and I'm going to try and rescue this zucchini or courgette plant that is not doing very well in this big pot I have at home, so I brought that in to try and plant that up today. This soil around here is bone dry, even though I dug it. I'm going to put some this rabbit manure and straw on for a bit of a mulch to try and keep the soil wet. That's our first plant. Don't know whether it's going to work, but it's better than leaving it in the pot, because it would have died in there anyway. And I'm planting the butternut squash that I got from Aldi, and I just took out the seeds. So I've dug out this hole, give it a really good water. I put some rabbit manure and some mulch in there just to retain some moisture, and I've given it a good drink. So let's get this out of it. Not a bad little root system on there. As I say, this is a temporary bit of land, and I'm just going to see where I can go with this. There's plenty of moisture in there, and I'm going to put some of that mulchy rabbit poo around the top and see whether I can get that to survive. So what I forgot to do was, you're not supposed to water the leaves of this, so I want to get water down to the roots of the butternut squash. So the pot that it came in, quite deep, I'm going to angle it like that, and I can water in and around in the pot, and hopefully the water will go right down to the roots. So I'll fill that up as far as it will go, and that will soak down. As you can see, the air bubbles coming up, but the idea is that you're watering the roots and not all over the top of the plant. I've finally raked the remaining half of this bed here, and I'm going to plant 4 rows of something just to see what I can get up in the next couple of months. I'm not going for lettuce and quick crops. I've decided to see if I can grow some roots. Swede, Williamsburger, turnip, golden ball. Next, I'm trying my hand at some kohlrabi. And last but not least, carrots, nonce. I've decided to use the multi-sown method as promoted by Charles Dowding. I know this is not a no-dig garden yet, but I like the multi-sown idea, where the vegetables, the roots push each other apart, and you can then harvest them in groups. So there we've got my 2 beds planted up. I've been working a little bit on some wood chip pathways between the beds at the moment, down here. Try and keep it a little bit weed free. So it just goes to show you guys, 2 beds in less than the space of a week, dug over, composted, brambles taken out, topsoil removed, not topsoil, top clods of grass and weeds, brambles removed, old dead trees removed. Just shows you what you can do when you get a bit of land in less than a week. There we go, guys. See you again soon.